Okay, so let's pick up on part two of the platyhelminths, the flatworms. Last time we left off with just talking about flatworms are flat and some of the different varieties of flatworms out there, and we're discussing the cestoda, what we consider, what we generally think of as or call the tapeworms. They're vertebrate parasites, unbelievable biotic potential. Part of that's because of A, they're hermaphroditic, B, they produce hundreds of millions of eggs. It is crazy the amount of eggs these things produce. And again, those eggs are produced in the gravid proglottids, the ones at the back end that have all of the developing eggs in them, and then they get released. And along comes some poor animal, a vertebrate that eats them. Then that can develop inside that vertebrate that can infect or encysted into the muscle tissue. The next vertebrate eats that animal and consumes it. So if we're eating beef that's infected, we then have the potential of, okay, now I have those larvae cysted in the meat that I just ate for dinner, and then they come out once they're in our intestinal tract, attached to our intestinal lining with the hooks and the suckers, suction on, and then they start to grow and develop and produce mature proglottids, and those come out in our feces, and the cycle continues. So the risk for us, fairly limited. It's estimated about 1% of U.S. cattle are infected. So if you ate 100 hamburgers in the course of a year, which would be a lot, that's like one every 3 days, 3.5 days approximately, one of those hamburgers is going to be infected. Now, the risk of getting active live larvae happens if you undercook the meat. So if you take a hamburger and you cook it and it cooks to medium or medium well or well, usually the cooking kills the larva. It destroys it. If you keep it at a rare level, then you increase your chance. But again, the likelihood is pretty darn small for any of us to get one of these. What I would be more concerned about would be your cats and your dogs. Because let's say your cats especially. Cats go out in the yard, they kill a mouse. Potentially the mouse is infected with a tapeworm. So the cat eats the mouse. Now it picks up the tapeworm proglottids or the tapeworms that are encysted, the larvae that are encysted in the muscle of the mouse. And now that transfers to the cat. So if you guys do have outside pets, cats and dogs especially, watch. And if they're eating a lot and just getting skinnier and skinnier and skinnier, get them tested. Test is simple. Take a pile of their poo to the veterinarian. They'll look through it and they'll look for the proglottids. Or you're a bio major. Grab a piece of poo. That's part of biology. You'd be amazed what you can learn from poo. Take that poo, dry it out, bust it apart, put it on a microscope. You use a dissecting scope for this. Take a look at it. You're going to say, oh, I'm out. I don't have a dissecting scope at home. No, you don't. But every one of you has a cell phone and it can magnify. So you're not out of this. Use your cell phone, magnify the poop, zoom in, take a look at it, pull it apart, and start looking for these things if you think your cat or dog has a tapeworm infection. If they do, get it treated. Don't let the animal suffer. That's not healthy for the animal to be infected and not dealing with it. So check it out. Hopefully you don't have it, but I guarantee anybody who has an outdoor animal, at some point they're going to get a tapeworm. It's just part of the environment. Treat them, get rid of the tapeworm. Everybody's good after that. So, okay. All right. So those are the members of phylum Platyhelminths. Those are your flatworms. The other phylum I want to mention here is phylum Rotifera. So these are part of Sporilia, Platyzoa, the Rotifera. We call them the rotifers. So phylum Rotifera, and generically or just common name is the rotifers. So when we look at these guys, they're actually kind of cool looking little animals. Some of us saw these in lab when we were doing water samples. They shouldn't have been there, but all of a sudden we're like, whoa, look at that guy. They were there. Now, unfortunately, we can't go back and see them. But what we look at with the rotifers, big thing here with rotifers, an identifying feature is that they have a ring of cilia that will be at the anterior end of the body. Okay, let me make some room here, clear out some of this stuff. Okay, ring of cilia at the anterior end. This is what they're going to use when they are feeding, for a feeding apparatus. So the cilia will spin to draw in water, and whatever's in that water gets sucked into the mouth of the animal. The cilia propels food down into the mouth. The mouth then leads to a, I'm going to put in quotes, to a gut. Digestion will occur there. Waste products will get released through an actual anus. So they have a complete digestive system here. Mouth, digestive tract, stomach, anus, etc. Okay, complete digestive tract. It takes 3 tissue layers. Oh, I gotta get my spacing to form the body of the animals. So ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. Hopefully they sound familiar. Outer, middle, inner. And then other big thing to mention is, by and large, these are freshwater. So we do water sampling and freshwater samples, and it's not uncommon to find rotifers. That's why those samples we had when we were looking at the different algae, the protists, they were in there just accidentally. You know, it's hard to get a pure sample of just a single type of organism. These guys are just, they're found, pretty commonly found in freshwater samples. So neat little group. We would call them omnivores because they're basically eating whatever gets filtered into their body, into their mouth, into their stomach, and then waste products obviously released through the anus. So, all right, so that's all we're doing with the rotifers. Just a little brief mention of that group so we have some familiarity with what the rotifers are and what they do. So, all right, that wraps up Platyhelminthes and Rotifera.